Greetings and welcome to the mythic north of the Vorpal Tales. I am maybe a new voice for you, and you may call me Tomer, pronouns he, him. I am kind of a traveling storyteller, and I am very, very happy and lucky that I am allowed to rest for a short time at your fireplace for tonight. At least it is tonight for me, a very hot summer night where I live. But I hope that you are in better conditions right now. You might see this. I am not alone. I am in the company of two brilliant people. I would love to introduce themselves. And how about we start with the person that I learned to know with the name Voodoo Arcade.
Hello, everybody. I am Steve, pronouns he, him. You can find me on the internet at Voodoo Arcade.
Thank you very much. And who else is with us?
Hey, everybody. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. I was watching the wrong video. But no, please again, I don't want to interrupt you.
Hey, everybody. I'm Ever. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm really excited to be here playing with Tom. You can find me on the internet as Changeling Ever for no reason in particular. And today I will be playing Isaac Nielsen, whose pronouns are he, him.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. Maybe we can learn the name of our second protagonist for tonight.
Yes, apologies. I did not introduce my character. I will be playing Oberst Tormod Osland, a military officer from Norway.
And we are not only having one mystery to solve tonight, but maybe a second. We will maybe joined by a third player, but we will see about this. Well, best greetings towards all the wonderful people in the chat. I'm very excited that you're watching. And maybe not everyone is already familiar with the masterpiece that was written by Niels Sinzer called Vaesen and published by Free League Publishing in Sweden, and which is based on the incredible and amazing work of Johann Egerkrantz, who is an outstanding artist and who started this whole game. I actually learned I need to run before it was released. There was somehow in my catalog of horror games and folklore games a gaping wound, something that must be filled, a Nordic horror game, and that is what Vaesen is. So let me grab you by your collars and drag you into the mythic north. It is not an actual historical representation of Scandinavia, but it is settled in the Victorian era, so we are talking late 19th century. There's a lot going on at this time. Industrialization is growing rapidly, and large parts of the world are being discovered and more used by humankind. But as we always feared, as we were taught in our stories, We aren't alone in the darkness, in the night. There's something else hidden from the sight of most of us. And the Swedish have a name for these creatures. They call them Vaesen. You might have heard the stories of the Kelpie or the Nisse, the Vettir, or the Huldra. They all are living out there. Some of them really close to us, like the household spirits, as the Vettir or the Nisse are known as. Some of them are living deep in the woods or the mountains, like the trolls. And we can peacefully coexist until somebody breaks an unspoken rule, an unwritten law, something that our grandparents will teach us in their stories, until somebody forgets to put out a bowl of cream every morning onto the back door of their house, because then we will anger them. And an angered Vaesen is very hard to come by any means. You need specialists who not only know about the Vaesen but also can see them. These people who are gifted with the sight are called Thursday's children, and some of them gather and try to manage the experience they gather, because the supernatural is seldomly kind to the one who experiences it. There is an organization that is mostly hidden, just like the Vaesen, from the eyes of the ordinary people. It is called the Society, or the Holy Order of Artemis, and it has one headquarter in the city of Uppsala, the capital of former Sweden, which houses also the royal family. Well, our protagonists tonight are members of this society, and they venture out to help people with Vaesen-related problems. But to be honest, they are the last members standing. They were gifted a key to the headquarters, which were already in ruins, by a person who subjected themselves to the care of the Uppsala asylum because of the stories they suffered and the losses they had to take. And now it is up to them, not more than a handful of vigilant and sometimes very desperate defenders. It is a very, very cold midwinter night, and we are seeing a horse-drawn sledge carving its way through very thick and deep snow. The white, frozen surface cracks beneath the sledge and the hooves of the horse. Steadily, it's drawing with all its strength against the elements, further north, to a certain lake, to a certain village. And within this sledge, there are 3 people. And I'd like to get a visual impression of Isaac. What are you looking like in this midwinter night?
Isaac is dressed in a simple flannel button-up with a vest over top, and then a very thick winter coat over top of that. He carries his pipe, and even if it's not filled with anything, sometimes he'll just stick it in his mouth to think. He wears a cap, just like this one. I'm not really sure what they're called, but he wears round frame glasses, and he is a little bit disheveled. His buttons on his shirt may be misbuttoned, maybe one a little off, and he's got papers, just tons of papers, and he's often muttering to himself as well. He looks to be in his mid-30s, but it's not exactly supposed to be that way. He was cursed by a mermaid. He was supposed to be a bit younger, but he's taken to this older visage, and it suits him.
And Tormund sits as rigid, upright, almost if you can sit at attention, sitting opposite Isaac. He is dressed in, despite being on the road, he's kept his attire looking incredibly fine and well kept. Every crease is exactly where it's supposed to be, with no extra wrinkles. He wears very fine clothes, but practical for exploration, with a sash signifying his station as an officer in the military. His hair is perfectly kept and combed over, and he has wonderful mutton chops into the mustache look of the time. Wears his flared gloves and fine boots.
And with you, covered in a mountain of blankets, there's a third person, only identifiable by the small clouds of breath coming from within this mountain. From the second day of your journey, they felt horrible and sick. If you hadn't received such an urgent letter, you probably would have returned. But you're not sure how much time you have left until all help comes too late. So you drag them with you. And Tormod, you are petting your coat, and you find once again the letter that brought you out here. And I'm going to show you it in Foundry.
Oh.
And if you would please be so kind if you're able to read it out aloud.
Yes. Dear gentle persons of the society, I have heard distant rumors of your engagement with the spiritual and the occult. It is an interest I certainly share. My husband and I are running the Merry Lad Inn. Oh, I'm not going to be able to say that. In Deslo? Delsbo?
Elsbo, I think. We are all not Swedish, so...
In Delsbo, at the west end of Lake Sortra Delen. It is in the southern part of
Funen.
Funen. We are a small community and keep an eye out for each other. You know, like keeping care for the neighbor's children. watching the cattle, sharing firewood. But most recently, strange things happened here. The potter has a beautiful young daughter. She is the pride and hope of the whole village. But a few days ago, she went missing. Also, there are strange new plants growing in the village. They are very pretty, but there is nothing else growing in the same soil. Usually I wouldn't concern outsiders, but the winter is closing in, and I can feel the mood shifting. Small communities like ours are prone
To collapse.
to collapse. Are prone to collapse, burdened with a curse like this during the season of ice. I can feel it in my very bones. Something strange, devious is afoot, and we need help before our hamlet cease to exist. Should this be of interest to you, and should my words have moved your hearts, you are welcome to visit my inn. I offer free food and accommodation if you investigate these things and share your findings with me. Surely our community can repay you even further if you can solve this case. Yours sincerely, Miss Agnes Volek. Volek. Agnes.
After you read the letter again, what is your biggest concern about the mission ahead?
My biggest concern would definitely be their concern that the entire hamlet might collapse. The loss of one life, even that of Porter's daughter, is obviously tragic, but the saving of the village as a whole should be the goal. If something is encroaching upon it and threatening its existence through the winter, that should be our focus.
Yes. The letter took a very long time to arrive. It was probably written in autumn. And now the snow had already settled in.
So the village might already be deep into its issues. We're going to be arriving late.
Yes.
Isaac, we might be arriving into something quite terrible.
Terrible. They're just plants.
These concerning enough that they sent this letter. Nothing else grows in the soil. That means that food was not able to be procured before the ice set in. When things get cold and food runs out, I've seen what that does to people.
Right. Do you think they ate each other?
Don't respond to that.
Well, I do know that as soon as we're there, we need to help our compatriot find some soup and rest.
Yes.
They're not faring well in this weather.
No. A nice fire, and yes, something warm will help them, hopefully. But again, we need to solve what's happening with the soil, the crops, make sure that the people are taken care of.
Yes, this will make an excellent paper.
This is not about a paper, it's not about research, it's about people's lives.
Well, yes, but also, research is important. It educates people. So this can be prevented. You know, people have forgotten the old ways, and when they learn of them, they can do the traditions that are expected. That is why research and papers are very important.
Just make sure if you're taking notes, you actually keep track of them. I look at your messy
may
bag.
have lost. that I lost 200 papers that one time, but that was that once. Once. Twice.
If your job is note-taking and research to make sure that this information is passed along, make sure you do it.
Isaac will just cross his arms and sit back with his pipe in his mouth.
And at this point, you leave the open field you were crossing and you enter the forest.
I have a
Around-
question. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Were we able to get any sort of drawn map of the region or the hamlet that we could study before getting there, just so that I could plan anything like that, or do we have to kind of get there and get the lay of the land?
This is an excellent question. Usually during a Vaesen mystery, you would receive the invitation and then have a short phase of preparations back in Uppsala. And if you want to be prepared in that way, that you got sufficient maps and a rough layout of the land, I would totally say, this is all right, yeah, you can have this.
Okay.
So, what you know about this area, that the hamlet is pretty secluded. It is far out there. It's not like directly within the mountains, but it has a large lake close to it. And the woods are pretty close as well. What else would you like to know about this place?
I have so many questions.
Ask one of them.
From my reading of that note, it seemed as though the plants growing, they said nothing else grows in the soil. I'm assuming that's to mean that their crops that they might have been trying to grow in those last few months in autumn, the things that you can grow late, right before winter sets in, were not growing, so they're going to be low on food. Can we look at the region and see what their farming or agriculture scale would have been, to get an idea of if they are starving?
The proximity of the lake tells you that they are probably using more fish
Fish.
than.
Okay.
So
they were able to fish before the lake froze over, probably?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, within these regions, ice fishing
Oh, sure.
is something that happens.
Floridian came out, I apologize. Okay.
It's all right. It's all right.
Isaac will take the time to look around at the trees and look for anything he's seen in previous missions or previous research of perhaps runes, Futhark, or little shrines, anything like that.
You look around, and the branches of the trees, they construct a ceiling in a way. There's a cover of snow in them, so you have a roof above you. There's only very dim light around you, so you can see only the closest trees with the dark bark and spindly branches and twigs. The path you're using is partly overgrown, and you have to crash through some dried out bushes and brambles. It is not as much that you see something familiar. It is more like a feeling that you get. The woodland draws closer around you, and the way the twigs catch onto your clothing or your hair from time to time, it feels like it is tasting you, like it's trying to get a feeling for you. And there, in the shadows, in the darkness behind these dark, dark trees, there's a hunger, an ancient, lingering hunger.
Isaac will shiver a bit. And Oberst.
Isaac?
We should stay on the path. I have this bad feeling. As if we are prey.
Sorry.
No, I think I'll just take that in.
So, just a second. I'm hanging on names. Tormod, you got your paperwork, your maps, your scarce research about the area, which will grant you an advantage later in the game if you find it applicable in any situation. Please write this down. As well as Isaac receives an advantage because there's something on your person, some sort of protective or lucky charm, if you want to. What are you holding in your hands and hoping to protect you from this wood, from this forest?
Me?
Yes.
Oh. That's pretty easy. A troll cross.
Wonderful. Please write this down as an advantage. You can use it once in our game in a situation in which you find it applicable. And with this, our journey slowly comes to an end. It is winter in Scandinavia. People who live up in the north know that depending on the region you're in, the sun doesn't rise completely within winter. And in this area, it only comes across the horizon for a few hours. So it is very dark as you finally reach the very low stone walls of a tiny village on the shore of a lake. And for you as my players, there's now a map showing in our foundry. And it is dark for the most parts, but if you push your character token across the map, it will reveal a little bit more. And I would like to ask you to go close to one of the gates. Because you reach a gate. Snowfall settled in a few minutes ago. What do you do?
Are there guards posted at the gate, or are these completely closed?
They are closed, but it is easy for you to look over the gate. It is not that high, and there are no guards.
I will jump off from our wagon and go up to the gate. I don't know if they have a bell or something that announces someone's presence. If not, I will just start yelling, "At the gate! Let us in! We've come to help!"
There is a tarnished old bell. You ring it and shout. It takes some time. Then a person in simple farmer's clothes comes with a lantern to the gate. It's looking very grumpy into your direction.
"Sir, our presence has been requested, and we have a sick man. Please open the gate. We need an inn."
And wine.
We got an inn. I can't promise any wine.
It'll have to do. Please.
Do you bring any sickness?
Look at
Only a common ailment. Sorry, Steve.
No, that's fair. But I just looked to the person who I specifically just said was sick. He's just weary from the road. He needs rest by the fire, and he'll be fine.
Let me see him first.
I'll open our the wagon back and kind of show him underneath the jackets and blankets.
You see the man taking a closer look. Obviously, he has no idea of any medical knowledge, so in the end, your partner doesn't have any terrible disfiguring ailments, so the man leads you through the gate that he's now opening fully. You see the 2-story building over there? That's the inn. There are some stables. I'm sure you can leave your carriage there.
Excellent, thank you.
Isaac, do you wish to move him into the inn or stable the horses?
I have always been fond of our beasts. I shall stable the horses.
I'll take him in. And I'll pull our third out of the wagon and kind of, either like his arm or carry him somehow into the inn and try to get us a room with a fireplace. If it has
Wonderful. One thing you notice as you passed the farmer is that he still lingers at the gate, hesitant to close it, and watching for some time into the darkness out there. As the horses are taken care of, he joins in as well into the very simple bar room that Tormund already entered.
And I saw him stare through the gate, right?
Yes.
So I'll bring in our third, and kind of like sit him in a chair. I assume the fireplace is probably in the common area as opposed to each individual room. So I'll pull a chair extra close to the fire and kind of sit him in it with blankets. But if I can, I want to stand up straight and kind of like tuck my or pull my tunic, tight, and kind of like step to the person who led us to the gate, and I'll stand and put a hand on his shoulder. We'll find her and bring her back.
He nods. You're here because of her.
Yes. We received this letter. I pull the letter out and show it to him. We're here to help as best as we possibly can. Wish to have arrived sooner, but the letter was slow.
Then old Agnes was right. He extends a hand towards you.
I will take it firmly.
Niels Carlin.
Tormund Osland.
I'll fetch Agnes. She will bring you something to eat and drink. Give me a second.
Thank you.
Then he hurries off into the kitchen. This place isn't too big. There's some tables, some chairs, some benches, but you can maybe get 24 people in here, and then it would be very crowded.
Oh, wow.
There are some stairs which probably lead up to the guest rooms and the apartment of the family, which is running the inn. And there's a strange smell in the air. Burning wood, some stew, and something earthy, sweet. Isaac joins you.
Smells like Hassenpfeffer. I'm sorry, Steve, I had to.
Okay.
What is that other smell though? It smells almost like peat or what is that smell?
Can I use an investigation to try to know what this earthy sweet smell that stands out is?
You are very welcome to do this, yes. Investigation, you take your skill level in D6 and add, if I'm not completely wrong, your logic to it.
Yes. This character sheet in Foundry is very useful as it breaks everything down into quadrants. So yes, investigation is a logic skill, which brings my dice pool to 4.
Wonderful. Roll it, and every 6 is a success.
2 6s and 2 1s, so 2 successes.
Wonderful. So the smell reminds you of summer flowers.
And for player knowledge, that's not a smell that would normally be
No. Not at this...
at this point in the year.
Yes.
Okay. Are they cooking with summer flowers?
That's to be seen. You also notice that there are some frames on the wall. Most of them are filled with landscape paintings. They're not very pretty in a delicate way, more like down to earth and painted by a practiced but not studied hand. In between, there's some frames with some writing in them, and you can see that, and that's for your second success. In one of them, there is the bloom of a flower as well.
Oh, like an actual flower, like in the frame.
Yes,
Oh.
dried.
Dried, okay. Interesting. I just kind of looked at Isaac and I sort of raised an eyebrow. They said things grew almost uncontrollably. If it's summer flowers, it's natural, more so than we expected.
Wait, are you saying that they're cooking with summer flowers? Is that, or burning?
We'll have to see if they're cooking with it or if it's just the aroma in the air. But we shouldn't smell summer flowers at all this far into winter. Take a seat. Let's not impose. We're not going where we're not invited. We'll find out in time.
All the greatest discoveries are made going where you're not invited.
Let's not overstep so quickly, Isaac.
Well, you are a spoil sport, aren't you?
And I'll sort of stand mostly at attention next to the person in the chair and wait for Agnes and whatever food they're going to bring. Being polite, not stepping out of where they've asked us or invited us into.
Meanwhile, Isaac is going to go stare at the paintings.
Well, as I already said, most of the paintings are not too interesting from an academic standpoint. And you're close to the frame with the dried and pressed flower inside as Niels Cullen returns, and he is in the company of a rather large woman. You could describe most of the features as being round. And I have to take care about something for a second.
Beautiful specimen, this flower.
While he is looking that up, I wanted to say thank you to Jelvar72 for the follow. We appreciate it. Hope you are enjoying.
Sweet. Thank you. I'm going to assume that's Tjelva.
Jelvar?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's a very good friend of mine.
Oh, perfect.
Great. So, I'm back, and with me is Agnes. She is the kind of person that you aren't messing with if you were about to do some shenanigans. She would probably be able to throw one or two men at the same time out of her inn, and from the more sorrow-painted features of her face, she doesn't seem to be a very happy person.
I will take a deep sort of bow, be like, Miss Agnes. We received your letter.
This is good news. Very good news indeed. I'm sorry, as the GM, I have to pick up my phone for a second.
Oh,
I'm
no.
sorry.
That's quite all right. Ah, Tormund, do you see this lady? She looks as if she could throw both of us out of this inn. At the same time.
She does. I'm sure she's had to bounce a few ruffians.
She could probably best you in a fight.
Let's not go too far now, Isaac.
Well, come now, you're older.
Experienced. Traveled.
Older.
I see.
I'm looking forward to trying this Hassenpfeffer, though.
I can't respond to that. Out of character, I'm loving this so far. The atmosphere, building tension, note, oh, it's so good.
Yes, this game is definitely on my list of games I wish to learn to storytell. And the music is fantastic also.
Yes, very. And just for anyone who is tuning in late, we are part of an institute that helps with people or areas, hamlets, villages that have crossed a Vaesen, correct?
Yes, Vaesen is a Scandinavian version, Swedish, I believe, version of the German word Vaesen. I think. Don't quote me on that.
So as we travel around assisting these scenarios, we are currently being called to a very small hamlet in the middle of winter that has, so far we have learned of two issues. One, the potter's daughter, who is considered sort of the focus and heart of the village, the pride of the village, has gone missing. And there are things growing in the soil where nothing else either can grow or will grow since these things are coming. We haven't quite fully asked if this is where they would normally plant food or if these are things growing in areas where stuff shouldn't grow at all. Which ties in with the fact that we're smelling summer flowers, so it's possible that things during the winter are growing that should not be growing. Which, whether this means that the food will not be grown or if it might overtake the village completely and cover it in flowers, we'll have to find
Hexen.
out. I'm sorry?
I said Hexen.
A hexen? Is that what that would be?
No, it's I believe it translates to witch.
Oh,
That's right.
Oh, yes.
And I'm back.
Perfect.
Welcome back.
Yes. So, we'll try again with Agnes. So, you are the investigators.
We are.
She looks you up and down. Maybe expected somebody else or somebody who would look different. But then she nods. Good. You already met Niels. He is the father of that poor girl.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah. I have some stew in the kitchen and some beer that I can offer to you. You please take a seat and then we can talk in.
Yes, I would love a bowl of this stew. And a mug, please. Thank you for your hospitality.
Yes, please. I shall take your largest glass of ale, and we shall toast together for our mission and hopefully the success thereof.
Niels doesn't look too hopeful, and then he excuses himself. He has to return to his family. But if you want to come by at any point later, he's more than happy to answer your questions.
We'll be by shortly. We're going to get to work right away. As soon as we get settled.
And with him gone, and Agnes returned with some stew that isn't smelling of summer flowers.
Okay.
You are left alone. Only the four of you. Yeah, you're right. It took you quite some time. I was hoping you would be here before anything else happened.
Anything else? Has this been a progression?
Yes. Shortly after I wrote the letter, the Storm boy disappeared as well.
What were their ages? Both the girl and the boy.
They were 16, 17.
Interesting. And do you know their last whereabouts when they went missing, roughly where they were in town?
No. I heard that Bjorn ran one night to the forest. Never returned. For weeks now they are doing search parties out there. His mother is unrelenting in this.
Understandably so. Want their daughter back.
Her son.
What of the boy?
That was the boy.
Oh, I thought
That-
it was the daughter. I'm sorry.
No.
I
No.
misunderstood. Your son. Okay. I see.
Does anyone else get the sense that they're being watched? In the wood.
Watched?
Yes.
That is the thing that happens if you venture too deep. It's dangerous to go outside.
Yes, on our journey through the woods, I felt as if I was being stalked like prey.
She seems to be thinking about this. Pray. Oh. But we are sure you're not alone out there. I don't know if you would be prey. Maybe because you're strangers.
Is it a guardian spirit of sorts? But then the children would never have been taken.
We are... we don't have any of these useful spirits around here. Nor hunters, if you ask me. But there's definitely something out there.
Do you have any stories that your grandparents would tell you to perhaps keep you in your home at night? To keep you from venturing anywhere. Perhaps like the big bad wolf or Jotun or Alfar.
There are plenty of these stories. Most of them, I thought, were to prevent us from leaving altogether the village. But once there was somebody who told different stories from them.
What of that?
We had a teacher here. He was from Stockholm. I don't know what drove him here. But he knew a lot of things. He taught the children reading and writing and math and all these things you need in a world out there. And he told stories I really liked. I really liked these stories.
Can you tell me what?
Instead of answering you, she stands up, goes over to the frame with the writing and the flower inside, takes it from the wall very carefully, as if it was a treasure, and carries it over to your table. And with a delicance not to be assumed of her large hands, she places it directly in the center of the table. It is not much what's written there. It's only 2 stanzas. And she tells you, I try to write it in my own words. And maybe one of you would like to read it to our audience.
To Isaac.
Yes, I shall read this. I fear thy kisses, gentle maiden. Thou needst not fear mine. My spirit is too deeply laden, ever to burden thine. I fear thy mien, thy tones, thy motion. Thou needst not fear mine. Innocent is the heart's devotion with which I worship thine. This is quite lovely.
She blushes.
Someone that you had affections for, perhaps?
He inspired some poetry.
Oh, this was written of you? Or by you?
She swallows. It's by me.
You certainly have a talent for the written word.
Thank you. It was hopeless, though. It was never meant to be. He would talk about these who are of undescribable grace, of radiant beauty. He talked about them as if he met them before. Maybe before he came to us. I don't know. It's what sticked with me. The way he talked about them.
This teacher, he really opened a lot of new ideas to the village, it seems. He brought in many outside thoughts and unlocked a talent within you, I can say. I'd like to know more about them. Is the schoolhouse still around?
Yeah. We can go there tomorrow in the morning.
This flower, and I'll kind of point to the frame. It's very beautiful.
Yes, they are.
I also can't help but smell an interesting aroma in the air. It's very aromatic for this time of year.
Really? And you can see her stiffen up again. I can't smell anything.
Would that smell worry you? By any chance?
What smell? No, there's no smell.
Your letter mentioned things growing, where in soil that nothing else could grow in, or would grow in. Correct?
Yeah, that's right. It's on our fields.
And are these still growing, even now?
Yes. As I wrote to you, it was on some of the outer fields, but this morning they reached the wall.
And what type of plant is this growing?
It has many vines and then like a little bit like big pumpkins, but a a flower blooms from these, and it's not stopping to bloom.
Flowers of these vines don't bloom, but I clearly smell something. Very interesting.
So, tell us of this remarkable hamlet. Are there any places that are central to these stories within?
This is a very simple place, it's like a dozen families. I think this inn is probably the most interesting thing you can find here. They have their farms, they have their houses, there's the wall, and, well, of course, the lake. There's a part of the lake that never freezes.
Never.
No, never. I think it's because it's very deep or something like this.
Advantageous for you.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And as you're about to ask your next question, you hear something from the outside. A crowd of people.
Are you expecting people this evening?
It will be the search party.
I see. Let's see what they found.
And as you stand up and open the door, you see a group close to a dozen people, all in thick winter coats, and most of them have burned down torches or dirty lanterns. And in front of them, there is a woman with red hair, some gray streaks in it, and she is pointing her finger at Niels Kallen, who is kind of standing alone in the middle of the what you could call the street. Is it allowed to curse on this channel?
Yes.
100%. We do it all the fucking time. I apologize.
Get out of my way, you disgrace for a dog! She shouts at him.
I'll wait to hear his response.
No. And I won't take this any longer. You know, it's not my fault. And it's not her fault. And you have to let these people get their rest. I will rest. soon as I hold him back in my arms.
I'll kind of walk out. Excuse me, I apologize. I did not mean to step into personal business. We are just arrived, but there seems to be a degree of tension here. Why are you yelling at this man?
He is the fucking reason that my son is gone.
Did he take your son?
No, but his harlot of a daughter did. Say this one more time.
Now.
And
perhaps we should part at this moment and we will get down to whether or not this was anyone's fault. I have my suspicions, but we were called here in specific to figure out what's going on. So, if we could avoid blaming anyone until we have solved this, we can solve it together.
you can feel, you can see it in the faces of the people. They are unsure. They are worn out. They're exhausted. Night after night, they go out into the woods. Night after night for weeks, maybe months. They haven't found anything. And still they are searching for her. Are you here to bring a change? Will you end this? They're giving you the chance to prove yourself.
We are here to change things. We are here to end this. We're here to make sure that your work, what you've done for these last months, is not in vain. If there's anything to be found, we will find it. Anything that can be done, we will be done. I know you're tired. I know that you're at your end. I know it seems hopeless. But do not lose that last sliver of hope that you have left. They need it. She needs it. He needs it. And do not take your anger out on this man. He has lost a daughter. Do not lash out at each other, for that is how all hope dies. I've seen this happen. I've seen when everything is stripped away and the humanity is lost and people turn against each other. And I'll stand up straight and I'll go into like my officer voice. Stand tall, stand strong, know that you are doing your best. And now help has arrived. And if I can, I'd like to use inspiration.
Yeah, I was about to ask for this.
Oh, okay. That's I have a 4 empathy and 2 inspiration for a die pool of 6. I have no successes.
No successes.
No successes.
Okay. There are two options now.
Okay.
First one is to settle with the failure, and we will take the story from there. Or you decide to push, which would mean that you will take one mental condition and you can re-roll any dice you want to. Please be aware that you only have 3 mental conditions. If they are all full, you become broken and receive a critical injury. Also, any mental condition will reduce your dice pool for mental tasks by 1.
For those watching at home, and definitely not for me who knows this system in and out, how can one get rid of any mental or physical conditions they have accumulated? Is that possible, or does that stay until the end of the story?
Most of them stay until the end of the story, unless you spend, and you have got this option once per mystery, I think, to spend a scene with another group member releasing stress in any capacity. This
Okay.
might be drinking alcohol, this might be figuring out some emotional stuff you have going on with them, that might be, I don't know, anything. Take some relaxation time, but it has to be a short scene, and then we will see how this will help you.
Okay. I think it might be a little too early to start pressing for mental conditions then.
It's never too early.
You want me to press it? And
What feels right for the story,
you know what? You're right. What feels right for the story.
and it is
Let's-
a two-shot, so.
I know. You know what? Let's do this. Because I think personally it makes sense for the story and for Tormund. With his backstory specifically, seeing a group turn on each other like this when things are at their worst is probably something that he specifically is very adamant does not happen. Considering his exploration history, losing all of his men, going, out, he does not want to see this town eat itself. That was what I even said from the very beginning was the biggest concern was the safety of the village as a whole. I will press it. I will get angry.
Get angry, but before that, roll your 6 dice again.
Okay. So before the angry hits, I will just...
Before the angry hits, yes. It's just important for the number of dice you're rolling.
Yes.
The condition takes effect afterwards.
One success this time.
Wonderful. So you're speaking to these people in a very inspirational way. And usually that works fine. But you can see resistance building up in this woman, in this mother. And she is about to give you a very vile response. How do you react to this? And why does it make you feel angry?
I respond by, I can kind of maybe hear like the murmurs, and then she steps up and she's about to say something vile. I will take like a sort of like a half march step forward. Everyone quiet. There's no need for response at this point. Feel what you're going to feel tonight. Let's sleep it off. Wake up in the morning refreshed so that we can get back to work. Dismissed!
There's something in your voice. Years of training and this knowledge what happens if you aren't obeyed in a situation like this that gives you this last needed inch of authority, this last bit. And she is looking around as if to gather support from their search party, but they are done, and they understood what you were saying to them. And so she sees that this is not the way. Not tonight. And whatever she thinks about Colin or you, it has to wait. And the crowd disperses.
And I'll even stare her down with the anger building in my eyes as the crowd disperses, and I can tell that she does want to say something until she finally, like he said, leaves for the evening. I'll turn. I'm sorry. The name of the person they were blaming,
Niels Carlin.
Niels. I'll turn to him. Carlin, why? Not now. Let's get back inside. But you have explained what to do. Come with me.
You can see he's fuming as well. But he follows.
And I'll take us back inside out of the cold. I'll sit him down in a chair, hand him a mug. Drink that.
Thank you.
So am I to imagine that that woman is the mother of the missing boy?
Yes. Sylvia Storen.
Sylvia. She blames you. She blames your daughter.
Of course she blames us.
So because your daughter went missing first, she must be the creature in the woods, and she took your son, or they ran off together? Help me in, fill me in. What's the situation?
In a small place like this, it's unavoidable to have conflicts between families. As far as I remember, we had conflicts for a very long time. Since ever. But our children, well, they found interest in each other. I tried to warn my Helda that this wasn't something, not a good idea. Not a good idea at all. These are bad people. But she didn't listen. So we did what we never did before. We said, with the Storens are around this table over there, and he points at one of the tables in the inn. We made agreements and arrangements, and everything was prepared. That I didn't lose my night gone was probably the only thing that was left. You know, in these parts, the father of the bride has to pay quite a lot. That she is well taken care of.
They were to be married.
Yes.
Huh.
It was the night before before their marriage, that she ran away.
Did she leave a letter? Oh, sorry, Tormund.
Isaac, go.
Did she leave a letter, perchance? Or did he, even?
No letters.
Then, what leads you to believe that they ran?
She was with us this evening. Quite nervous, as one would understand her to be, right? But my wife brought her to her bed. The next morning she was gone. Her coat, her shoes, taken.
There's nothing saying that she perhaps didn't go out for a walk to think and, well, and I hate to suggest this, but perhaps was walking by the lake and fell in, or walking through the woods and a wolf happened upon her. As morbid as that is, to say that she would run away on one of the most exciting days of her life, well, seems as if it doesn't quite connect.
We looked for her. We searched everywhere. We were in the woods, we were in the fields, we were on the shore. She wasn't to be found. Even with the support of Sylvia in the beginning, we didn't find either of them. And
Stop crying. Speak.
Tormund, this man is in great pain. Be kind.
This is getting us nowhere. It's withheld that they were married, or to be married. I'm sorry, I'm just getting angry.
I see this. Perhaps you should take a drink and sit down yourself.
Perhaps so. We're just not being told everything, and for it to help, we need to be told. I apologize, Nils. On your time.
Continue, Niels.
to believe that she ran away, this means that she still can be alive, right? That she's somewhere out there.
It is possible, but I would not expect either death or living because, well, one learns in life that you cannot expect a particular outcome or you may be let down. However, that does not mean that we would find a body. I'm not so good at this, but we will do what we can to find her and to find her fiancé, her betrothed, and just try not to get your hopes up, but also try to be a little optimistic. Does that make sense, Niels? I find that I'm talking myself in two circles now.
He looks utterly confused at you.
That's okay. Isaac is confusing. Footprints. Did you see any footprints?
He looks at you in a strange way. And it might be that an observation roll is in the order.
Ooh, excellent. Let's see here. That's not going to work there. Okay, observation. Is 1 die, and then that goes with empathy, so that's 5. Two successes.
Wonderful. He is not telling you. And you can see that he's nervous about it. He is his fingers are kind of restless. He is looking at you in a way as if he wants to figure something out. Maybe he's assuming you wouldn't believe him. Especially with the angry person.
Now look, I can tell that you are uncomfortable. And it may be because of my dear friend here being so forceful.
I just want to get all the information about the situation.
Hush now. I have seen many things in my time. As you can see, I am quite wizened. Yes, that is absolutely 100% true. And I think if you share everything that you may be hesitant to, I may be able to help you. I am a great researcher after all, and my specialty is spirits of the land. Vaesen, you might say, Landvetir. I know quite a bit. Some Husvetir, but those tend to be quite grumpy. I have seen some things.
I can't give you any of that, but you see, I told you she took her shoes. She wore them. I found her tracks until she left the village. She slipped out of her shoes there, walking bare feet in the cold. It was one of these autumn nights that would freeze the land. This very thin pane of ice on everything. I saw my eldest feet walking across the fields, and then they were gone. Only her tracks, only her steps, bare feet on the cold ground. And I think this is an excellent time to send a thank you to das Ungesicht, and maybe go for a short break.
Oh no.
If this is not too much trouble.
Not for me, but my dog just barked in objection, so.
Good, good time for a break. That was amazing. Okay. Yes, everybody could give us maybe between 5 to 10 minutes, just however long it takes us for our break, and we will be right back by hopefully the top of the hour. Does that sound good for everybody?
Yes. Wonderful.
Perfect. All right. Thank you all.
And we are back. I hope you used the time in a proper way to prepare you for the night that comes for our protagonists. The fire died down during the conversation with Niels Carlin, who still has some family left, and this time truly returns to them. Agnes showed our two investigators two small rooms which are easily identified as not being used too often. They're simple, but meet the most basic demands. One of them even has a blind mirror inside. Both of you are given some water for the washing bowls, which are standing on a nightstand. And since it was stored next to the fireplace in the kitchen, the water's kind of warm. What are your usual rituals before you go to bed?
Isaac would get dressed in his pajamas, wash his face, set out everything for tomorrow morning, and ironically enough, perfect order. Everything is lined up. Everything is exactly where it needs to be, and in the order from left to right of what he would be using. Starting out with a toothbrush and soap, then his trousers and so on. He would pick up his mess of papers, bring it over to the bed, sit in bed and write everything that had happened during the day, document thoroughly, and then shove that paper back into the pile somewhere. And then possibly he may have a book that he reads through. And it's not a for fun book. It would be a book on folklore, possibly even looking for information on entities that might be there at this hamlet.
Tormund has a very similar but slightly different nightly ritual. He will obviously remove the fine clothes and the sash that he wears, and he's very specific in the way that he folds them and stores them. If there is any stain or anything, he'll kind of brush or wash that out as best as he can. Folds them that way so that the creases are where they're supposed to be. Stores his gear and items away in, very proper to make sure that they are easily accessible but also protected. Does a light sort of physical routine to keep himself sharp and limber and in shape, but nothing that's going to, overly wake him up before bed. And then before finally getting in, he will also take out a journal that he opens and his kind of ink and quill, and he will start to write in this journal. But instead of what Isaac discussed, he is writing very practical information, traveled from wherever we would have started in our journey this evening to our destination. Upon the way, Our third came down with illness from the road, currently recuperating. His services will not be available to us for the foreseeable future. Isaac, while somewhat useful, is still scattered in his thoughts, even to the point of confusing Nils, Carlin, the father. And he'll just be like very specific, like identifying each person, who they are in relation to the mystery, and just like every detail, like to make sure that it's like a report at the end of the day. And then kind of towards the bottom, the people of the village are tired, they're scared, they're ready to turn on each other. This hamlet walks on the edge of a knife, and if anyone slips, they'll race each other to the bottom.
And what emotion lingers with you?
Oh, for me, it's definitely my anger. I'm mad at these people. Like, they have so easily given up, or they are so easily turning on each other. They're ready. They want to. I'm almost like hold the people, starting to hold the people like in contempt, like with the way that they're acting and holding back information. Oh yeah, he would point that out. No one is forthcoming with information. Everyone seems to be hiding something. And that is angering him.
And that is something that you find in many of the reports. You're holding up one of the traditions of the society, keeping careful book. Knowledge is your most important weapon. If you lack a critical piece of information, the whole mission can become a disaster, and in the best of cases, scar everyone deeply. And you often have to fight against resistance, against people who are not telling you everything, because that's just how people are.
Too stubborn to help themselves. We're allowed help.
Yes. What emotion lingers with Isaac?
Curiosity. This has piqued his interest so much because what one thing could cause this entire village to simultaneously want it solved, but also try and protect it through withholding information? It's fascinating. So yes, curiosity. Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. And so, these are your thoughts and feelings as you slowly fall asleep. This is a much more peaceful, quieter place in a way. If you could ignore the tension outside. There are no coaches, no screaming people, no students, no noisy people on the streets right now. No drunkards who are running away from a police patrol in the middle of the night. No royal guard taking care of order in the dark hours. So it is easy to slip away and find yourself in a much colder place. No trees do grow here. There is no moss, no fields. No house was built on this piece of the unknown world. Tormod, you're standing there in the middle of a strong wind, and it carries no snow. It carries ice crystals, and it's so cold. Where are you?
I'm back on the Antarctic exploration. In the far, far south, heading towards the South Pole. We're going to reach it this time. We'll be the first. Pull the jacket tighter. Press forward into the wind as it stings every little piece that it can, slipping into the jacket, underneath the masks that we wear. Despite the ice, the eyes dry out. Just everything hurts.
When was the last time you drank something that was liquid?
Several days ago now, most likely. Starting to reach that edge where you have to keep just enough. I'm trying to make it to an outpost I know that might have been ahead of us. Another group was traveling at the same time. My water supply is so low that I had to wait 2 days between drinks to make it.
There was a scouting group who prepared some outposts along the line so that you could carry your rations with you, so you can go in deeper into the ice. It was a well thought out plan, a well designed system, and it worked for a time very finely. The weather was good, you made great progress, but then that changed. You reached the second outpost 2 days late. You had to start to eat the rations that were meant for later. But you managed. But this time, you're already 3 days late for this next outpost.
I'm days and days behind. Eating rations. I'm not gonna make it there with enough food and water. And even if I did, I wouldn't make it back. I look towards the south, where we want to go, and I look back, having to turn back. I'm just stuck there in the ice, expanding forever, remembering this decision.
Why can't you just turn around?
It's dangerous to the south. that direction holds not adventure, not even acclaim, but almost certain death. And that appeals to me. I want to step out. I want to push on, despite knowing it might doom me.
Medician, your navigator, approaches you. He has something in his hand, a map he's meticulously updating on any opportunity he has. He shows you trying to break the wind with his voice, but you can't hear him. Where you're going, there's a second route, something that would bring you back to the coast. From there you would travel a slightly easier road back to the ship. But there won't be any provisions on that tour. If the storm continues, your rations will be used up half a week before you reach the ship. Your personnel is already struggling.
I look at them. I look into myself, wanting to press forward to the south, not back to the ship, but knowing that's where we need to go. I've got men who depend on me, and while I might be ready to venture forth into doom and death, my job is to keep them alive. But right in the middle of what I want and what they want is that pass, where we might be able to... we'll have to push. So I'll grab the map. I can't hear his voice, and I kind of, with my finger, I motion along the map, the other pass, even though it's not our normal route. So I motion to him with hand signals back to the ship. We're going to take this pass. Gather everything you can. Dump anything we don't need. Dump the tools. Dump the weapons. Dump everything except food and water.
They do. You can, through the snow mask, somehow you can see the eyes gleam. Some of them are happy, relieved that you made this decision. You catch Peter Cian's face for a second. He isn't happy. He's afraid. Then there is a yell. And you see behind one of the sledges a man is lying on the ground. Karlström.
Karlström! And like the wind just takes the words and throws them off into nothing. And I'll run over as best I can through the snow to see what happened to him.
He's at his limits. And he tries to get up, but you can see that his left leg isn't helping. He can't put any weight on it. It's always breaking away. You have seen this with another man of the expedition. He slowed down the group and then didn't make it through the night.
I'll lean down and, grab him. I'll give him kind of like a pat to the chest, and I'll look at him one more time, lock eyes, without saying a word, to say that I'm sorry. And I will tell everyone else, divvy up his rations amongst everybody. We're moving on.
You can see the fear in the man's eyes. But he knew that this would be coming. He knew it since the morning.
There's nothing more we can do for him. We gave him the chance, his leg gave out. And I just point, because again, the wind probably carries most of this away. And I just point.
Petersian gets the people moving.
We leave Karlstrom behind still alive.
This time, you have the feeling that something is different from back then. This heavy grip in his hand as he pulls you closer. And then he pulls back his hood, the pelt. And in your dream, you see the rune for the first time before you entered the place where everything went to hell. A dark black room that wasn't there before.
But I should have seen it anyway. There would have been a sign. There had to have been a sign. I missed it.
And then a tremor breaks the moment. The first of several that foreshadowed the doom of your expedition. You wake up to a window that had opened during the night and snowflakes tumble into your room.
I get up, creak across the room, and I'll stand in that window, open, for as long as I can, in whatever sleeping attire, I would be wearing. Not enough to really protect you from the cold wind. You would need to wear it under blankets and things like that. And I'll stand there just feeling the sting of that wind against me through the sleeping clothes. And remember, close my eyes, and I can hear what came for us in the past. And as soon as that wind overtakes me, and I'm shivering, and it feels like spikes on my skin, I'll slam the window closed and close the curtains.
And the little bit of warmth that is still in your room is preserved. In the meantime, somebody else didn't go into the frozen wastelands of the deepest south. They actually left for the place they started from. We see a brightly lit room, high windows, chandeliers and candlelight everywhere. There is a small stage. Musicians stand there. They play. They are clad in fitting uniforms for a royal ball at the university. There's so many people in here, and you can divide them into two groups. The fashionable and rich, who are here to enjoy the show, see the discussions, the rivalry between the people who feel like they're so much smarter than them. And the second group, people who are indeed respectable, but most of them so specialized in their area of research and knowledge that they are not up to the most recent developments of fashion. But they are here to entertain themselves and be the entertainment. And it is a bright spectacle. And in the midst of this is Isaac. How do you feel about this?
Isaac is absolutely enjoying this environment. It is bright and celebratory. Everything that he could possibly enjoy. Definitely not out in the field where you could get dirty or not have people. He couldn't envision a future like that, no. He's happy and in love.
Who is this person you are in love with?
Her hair is golden. She's tall, almost reminiscent of the shield maidens of old. She has bright green eyes. She looks as if she could come from the elves herself. And they are engaged to be married. Her name is Ingrid. And he knows beyond any doubt that they will be together forever. And not only is she lovely, she's very smart. They're working on a paper together.
What is the characteristic that Ingrid possesses that Isaac doesn't, but a door?
Oh, she keeps him organized. This is a thing that confuses him to no end. How does she know where to put these papers, and how does she know how to organize their workspaces? He just this is a power beyond him. He does not possess it, but he appreciates it. If he asks her where something might be, she knows exactly where it is and exactly when she put it there.
Are you waiting for her, or is she already here?
He's looking for her. He hasn't seen her yet.
And after what felt like a lifetime, a lady appears. I think she is not as deeply included into the social games as you are. She isn't attending all the happenings, and maybe you helped her deciding on her dress, but it is the first time you see it on her. It is a stellar blue with some fine silver threads woven into it. It shows taste in the same way it shows the parts of her that they which are making it so easy to get entrapped with her. It is just a little bit above the ground, and this makes the fabric float across the floor and gives her a semblance of weightlessness. She comes from the dance floor and is just in the last few steps of a spiral. Her cheeks are in a light red, filled with euphoria. What do you think as you see her?
I swear my heart has stopped in my chest. She looks as if she came from fairyland herself. I clearly don't deserve someone this lovely, nor do I deserve someone that brilliant. Because her beauty is not simply in her looks, it is also her magnificent mind and her curiosity of learning. I don't know how I became so lucky. But there's something I haven't quite told her yet. I may have a secret or two that I don't wish to disclose. But the phrase, how does that go? Better to ask forgiveness than permission? I hope that she finds me as appealing as I find her.
She fulfills a movement, and her eyes beam across the room into your direction. And glare up. And she starts moving towards you. As you can see the signs. She got an idea. It is the area around her eyes, a little bit the way she perks her lips, that she just had a brilliant thought. And then she's in front of you.
Ingrid, you look as if you are a fairy queen yourself. I'm at a loss for words.
And still you manage to be charming. I'm impressed.
No, this charming, I most certainly am not, but witty, I might be.
You know, I don't know if you know, but I just might have found the solution.
To what, dear?
To what? To the thing. You know, like the data that didn't add up that you procured. I think I might finally know what went wrong. And I know this is very important for you to be here and be seen, and drink 1 or 2 glasses of champagne, but maybe we can sneak away a little bit early and you can show me again the papers, and then I think we can in the morning send it away.
Yes, certainly I would. Any moment to be alone with you and discussing the things that we are interested in, and perhaps a stolen kiss or two, I would gladly desert this opulence.
Why aren't you able to show her the research tonight?
Because it has her research in it, without credit to her name. The place that would take such research would discriminate against a woman's name because they are not as educated as I, and wise in the ways of knowing that gender, whatever gender, doesn't matter. They still hold such archaic opinions. So I figured it was more important that the information got out there, and then perhaps after it was published, revealing that her name was involved. It's for the better, it's for the greater good. I didn't exactly want our paper to be laughed away from the organization.
And what did you do about the unsolvable problem?
Well, there are a few unsolvable problems, but the biggest one is that mermaid. That mermaid that I stumbled across one evening in a drunken stupor and accidentally offended. And she aged me a bit. I had decided to put it behind me, but Ingrid had decided to research it further. If that is the problem she's referring to, I may have to research that once more. And perhaps include it. But first I hope to be able to explain to her why, if she runs across the paper, her name is not on it.
She puts her index finger on the lower side of your chin, runs it across it, and then smiles and says, "So, maybe one glass of champagne. After that, I will only write nonsense, and we will finally be finished."
I would say that this is a good idea. However, you know, we don't have to look at the research this evening. This is a night of celebration, as much as I would love to slip away.
And she is kind of disappointed, as she always gets if she finds something and can't get to work on it immediately. It's probably the mind of a genius that works this way. But she also recognizes that this is your space. This is something you probably waited for months. So, in the end, she nods and says, well, then we can. And at this point, somebody else enters the ballroom, and somehow everyone turns around. There's actually the crown prince in this room, and he is also turning around, watching these double-sided doors swing open without a servant having a hand on them. As if she was carried by a wave, a gentle stream, a woman arrives at the place. She wears a gray gown, which is speckled with blue and green dots. From afar, maybe mistakable as scales. She has long dark hair with a tint of green in it, and very fine and white skin, and eyes deep like welts. She doesn't say a word, but still nobody can loosen their eyes from her. And without the slightest hint of insecurity, she heads towards the two of you.
Isaac kind of loosens his collar a bit. And his face has gone a bit pale. He kind of moves Ingrid behind him in a protective manner, but he can't find it within himself to grab her and just run away. He's simultaneously entranced and terrified.
She moves one of her hands up, and with a slight twirl of fingers, you feel the resistance against running away growing. Then she's there with you. We are back together, she says. Although I must wonder, why are you in others' company?
My lady, I would like to welcome you to this celebration. And he begins to just fidget with the buttons on his vest. I would like to introduce you to Ingrid, who as you can see is behind me, and I shan't be pulling her out from behind me. Yes, this is my celebration. Please make yourself comfortable. To get together again. I believe you may be mistaken. With all due respect.
I don't think that I am mistaken. If it was not for my assumption that you found another one to cast away, someone to drain of the secrets.
Whatever could you mean by that?
Excuse me, please. I don't think I catched your name, said Ingrid. And, well, gets away from behind you and to your side. No. I would love to hear what's your name.
This this is I'm sorry, I find myself quite nervous at the moment. This is you can call her Lorelei.
Is this the name you used for her before? I'm asking as the storyteller.
Yes.
You can see Ingrid's mind working, calculating. So, you remember then, I should feel honored, shouldn't I?
If you so wish to feel honored, how could I have ever forgotten you, dear Lorelei?
I wonder. What stories do you tell about me?
Only the ones that you have provided. Yes. I I would not divulge anything terrible.
And it is this moment that Ingrid says, "Oh, she is the problem." And Lorelai's head snaps around. Yes. And what a problem I will become. And out of thin air, she produces a stack of paper in a brown leather clad. My gift to you. May it help you find a kinder fate than I found. And she gives your papers to Ingrid.
Ingrid, don't take that.
She is not to be stopped. What did you feel back then?
Isaac feels all of the feeling and warmth drain from his body to the tips of his fingers and the tips of his toes, with nothing but that deep-seated tingling left when you're scared of heights and you're standing at the edge of a cliff, regardless of a railing or other safety item, that feeling that your knees could give out at any moment. Utter terror.
She opens the leather binding. There's the name of your thesis. And there's your name. Nothing else. She is confused, looking up to Lorelai. And then she starts rushing through the papers. And in the moment that the mermaid disappeared, Ingrid turned around and looks at you with eyes that can't see you anymore.
Ingrid, I can explain.
No, I'm sure there's a very fine explanation to this, and I will find this on my own. What did you say that escalated the situation?
It's just a paper.
And with the cutting, freezing cold of the north wind, she says, "It was our paper. And another brush of cold wind wakes you up. And they're far in the north.
Who left that window open? Oh, so cold. So cold. And he'll get up and make sure the window is shut and if need be, restoke. If there's a fireplace or a furnace of some form or stove, he'll restoke the fire therein, and he wraps himself up in one of the blankets from the bed, a very heavy quilt, clearly handmade and with a lot of love. And he'll sit there with this look on his face of loss. And he feels that winter chill all the way down to his heart. And just kind of talk out loud to himself as he's sitting there, wrapped up, looking very pitiful. If I had known then what I know now, I would have... Paper be damned, I would have given anything to make Ingrid happy. I was so selfish. I was so selfish. Damn it, I was so selfish.
And both of you get a glimpse outside of the window in the cold winter night. And it is for a second that you think that there's somebody walking close to the shore on the lake. And this is the end for tonight. And I think both of you, my very excellent players, and our listeners, for this wonderful game of Vaesen.
Thank you so much for running and telling the story.
Yes, that was... It's been incredible so far. I really look forward to what happens next. Yeah, that was just... I've got goosebumps.
I hope both of you are feeling well nonetheless.
Oh, yes. Stories like this make me feel invigorated. I just love it.
Perfect.
Great.
Do we want to do quick... I'll tell everyone where they can find you next?
Yeah, this would be a great idea. Well, maybe since I'm the guest, I'm actually starting today.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Because you're probably to be found here, I guess. Right now I'm just I'm doing something with the Vorpal Tales for now, and I will return next week on the same time, probably some minutes earlier, but yeah, that's to be seen. With the second part and the finale of this story of Vaesen. Aside of this, I am a semi-regular storyteller on the Onyx Path Twitch, where I run a Changeling the Lost game from time to time with amazing players. And I was part of the Onyx PathCon, and I'm very much looking forward to that game that we streamed to end up on YouTube. And aside of this, well, summer is coming. Let's see what's happening then. And I got something in the cooking for autumn with some incredible European people. And, well, yeah, that's so far with the things of me. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. Ever, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me all over the internet as Changeling Ever for no particular reason. And you can find me pretty much every day except for Saturday on Vorpal Tales, because I may or may not be addicted to role-playing games. Especially when Tom runs them. They're just, yes. You can find me tonight playing Alien the RPG, also by Free League Publishing. I have 2 characters that I am in that. It's a lot of fun and a lot of terror, and it's one of the few games that actually scares me, because aliens are terrifying. And then next week, of course, you can find us playing Vaesen for the part 2 at 1 p.m. Eastern time on this channel on Thursday. And then what time is that for you, Tom?
At 7 p.m. for Germany and Sweden.
Okay, and then Universal Coordinated Time, that is 5 p.m. So if we do have any listeners over in yeah, I remember. You can join us at those times, and we would be very happy to have you.
And I am Steve. You can find me on the internet at Voodoo Arcade. Today I played Tormod Osland, our officer. And the next time you can find me will be tomorrow, playing in Eldritch Echoes Ravenloft. And then on Sunday, playing Vampire the Masquerade with Stolen Fires. And that game was great. Had a wonderful time today. So, yeah, other than that, check out Vorpal Tales. Please look up everything Tom did with the Onyx Path. Like I said, the video on demand for most of those are available. Find it. It was excellent. But that's me. Tom, do you have a normal sign-off you'd like to do to take us out?
Well, all I can say is we do tell stories for particular causes, and some of them are warnings. So be careful. The forest is hungry and water is deep. And I wish all of you a wonderful day or night. Goodbye.